Hey guys, I'm John Steffen here. I'd like to welcome you guys to the pilot episode of Lead Belt Chronicles. So today I will be interviewing Chris Dunlap here with Fired Food Truck. We'll be talking all things business and really just life. So Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So Chris, I know I told you about that tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember me telling you about that?
Yes, I do.
So give me your opinion on this. This is probably not official yet, but I want to see what your opinion is. So first off, I want to tell you what Lead Belt Chronicles is all about. So Lead Belt obviously talks about the area here. So there's about 7 counties in the area. So I don't want to limit myself to where I can go. Okay, Chronicles obviously means to tell a story. So what I want to do with Lead Belt Chronicles is I want to tell people's story.
Okay.
I want to document your story as well as anybody that has a story to tell, as well as the history of the area. I love history, so I want to document the history of the area as well as people's history.
Sure.
So you're ready for the tagline?
Yeah.
Okay, now be honest with me what you think about this, okay? So I thought about doing Lead Belt Chronicles, Return to Your Roots. Because return to your roots basically would mean like return to your roots, return to your foundation. So like today, what I'm going to be doing with you, Chris, is I want to talk about your roots, your foundation, like how you became the person you are today.
Yeah, that seems to make sense.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Do you think that'd be good?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know. But that's kind of where I'm going with it right now because I want people to know what the podcast is going to be about.
Sure.
Before I get into talking about you, about your business, just real quick, some goals I have. My mission of Lead Belt Chronicles is number 1 is I want to help promote business. You know, I want to promote your business as well as anybody else I talk to. Number 2, I just want to be able to meet people.
Yeah.
And you have some knowledge. You know, I've known you for a while now. You have some knowledge that I've been able to use in my own life, and that's why I want to share it with the audience because I want you guys to be able to use it towards your life as well.
Okay.
So that's really the simple terms of what I want to do with Lead Belt Chronicles. So let's go and get started with you. So kind of tell me your story, Chris. Like, how did you get your start?
Oh, gosh. So, yeah, this goes way back to when Amber and I first met. So we were, I would say she was probably 18. I was 19 and a half. We're about a year and a half apart. We knew each other from high school, but we knew who each other were. We didn't know each other, though. We had some mutual friends. Some of her family were friends of, like my sister and myself. And
Did you go to school around here?
yeah, we went to Central High School is where we graduated from.
Okay.
So, yeah, we knew each other from high school. She graduated in 2006, so I think it was winter of 2006. We kind of connected on MSN Messenger, if you remember. You probably don't remember that. But
before my time.
yeah, MSN Messenger, the MySpace days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we met back then, and we started hanging out. Nothing exclusive at first, and then we got together in February of 2007. And so, from there, fast forward about a year and a half later, we found out that she was pregnant. On the day that we found out she was pregnant, she also found out that she had gotten the job at UPS. She was their route dispatch supervisor. And I had been working at my job doing digital marketing for car dealers for about a year or so at that point. So that position that she got was a night shift position. She went in from anywhere from like 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock and worked anywhere from like midnight till 6 in the morning. So, our daughter was born, and that put us on opposite shifts, obviously. So, I would get home from work. She would either be sleeping or going to work. And as my daughter got older, I had to be the one to cook dinner. I knew nothing about cooking at that point, So I had to learn to cook. There was a lot of frozen meals, a lot of fast food, quick stuff, and you quickly get tired of that. And so that kind of that spawned me into being the dinner guy at home, the cook necessarily. It was out of necessity basically, and that kind of spawned my love for cooking. So one day Amber brings home, I don't know if you know the magazine, the 573 magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she brings one of those home, and it's got an article about how to build your own smoker. And I read this article, I'm a DIY guy. So I decide I'm going to build my own smoker. I knew nothing about smoking meats. I knew nothing about, I knew a little bit about cooking at that point. And that kind of, building that smoker, making a whole lot of really terrible food at first, it kind of made me fall in love with it. I love the process. I love the journey of learning new things, and I'm the type of guy that, I think I can do anything that I put my mind to. Anything I put the effort into, I can do. And so I got really good at smoking over the course of the next several years, and then I would go through and I would find a food I would really like, and then I would work on that single food for like 6 months and try to perfect it. And over time I became a pretty decent cook, and really started loving it, and I never knew that it would get to this point where we own a food truck now. But let's fast forward to like 2016. Pizza's my favorite food. It's a lot of people's favorites, and I wasn't good at making pizza by any means. And 2016 comes around, and they come out with these little pizza ovens called the Rock Box, and they're actually the ovens I use today. During that time, I was paying a very high student loan. It was substantial amount of money, more than most people's car payments, closer to house payments even. And this oven was like $700. And I thought that was a lot of money to spend on something that cooks one thing. And so I told myself that, once I paid off my student loans, if I still wanted one of those ovens, that I would buy one. So fast forward to May of 2020. I paid off my student loan, and the next week I had an oven at my doorstep, through the mail, of course. And I start cooking pizzas, and I'm terrible at it. Like, there's such a learning curve when you're cooking with something at such a high temperature, 900 degrees. These pizzas cook in 90 seconds,
It's a skill, isn't it?
Yeah. It took me a long time to learn it. I mean, I was probably 200 pizzas in before I had a pizza that I thought I could sell even. When I bought this oven, I didn't intend on opening a business. I just wanted to it was another thing that I wanted to get really good at. There were times I spent 6 months making donuts every weekend, just because I wanted to make the best donut I possibly could. And of course the girls loved that. Every Saturday morning they had fresh donuts for breakfast. Yeah. But I did that with several different things, whether it was smoking meats or making donuts or whatever. So yeah, that got me to, I have my oven, I start cooking pizzas, I'm terrible at it. I find this guy in the UK that's running a business with these ovens, and he's selling 170 pizzas a day. I mean, he's in a market in a city of 8,000 people, and he's in one of these outdoor farmers markets, really nice, kind of set up, and he's got people selling them out every day. And I thought to myself, I could probably do that, and maybe make a little extra income on the side. I was still working my job at with the car dealers, doing the advertising, and that kind of began the journey. So I committed to making 6 pizzas every weekend, sometimes up to 20. I talked Amber into letting me buy a food trailer, and worst case scenario, we'd pay it off and we'd have a really cool camper with an outdoor kitchen. If the whole thing didn't work out, and so.
So was Amber okay with it? I mean, for the people that don't know, Amber's your wife.
Yeah, Amber's my wife. Sorry, I didn't.
So Amber, I mean, obviously, I know that probably was probably not like a quick decision you guys made. Like, I'm sure was there a time period you guys talked about it? Were you just like, okay, I'm tired of talking about it, let's get going with it, or was it more like let's jump into it?
Yeah. So I had floated the idea of wanting to open a restaurant, and she was against that because it takes a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money to run a restaurant. It's a huge risk. At the time, these trailers were anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000. It's that's a good chunk of money, but it's not $150,000. It's not $200,000 or even higher than that. And so I kind of had to. I was in sales, so I kind of had to sell her on the idea, and I was pretty good at what I did, and so. It wasn't too hard of a sale, but and that's what I told her. I said, I've gotten really good at this. I think, I'm pretty confident that I could sell this product, and, worst case scenario, we would, we'd pay off the trailer. We would, and have an outdoor camper basically if we decided to just quit. Best case scenario, we quit our jobs, we take it full time, and we work for ourselves, and so. that was how I sold it to her, and she's like, that doesn't sound like too big of a risk. I think we can do that. So she was on board from that point.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So she's been supportive throughout.
Well, what I actually want to do is, some of the people watching this or listening to this probably have maybe never heard of your food truck.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I mean, your food's like amazing.
Thank
But
you.
anyways, maybe if they haven't heard it or they've never been there. But what I want to do real quick, you shared a commercial you had a guy make. Now, who made that for you? That commercial?
So that
I'll give him a
was
shout out.
Landon Williams of L&A Films.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Is he local?
Yeah, he's local.
Okay.
Yeah, look him up on Facebook. I think it's L&A Films or L&A Filmography, something to that effect.
Cool.
But yeah, he's on Facebook. He's on Instagram, I believe, as well. But dude is a master with a camera.
Well, I want them guys out here to take a look at it. So real quick, let's go ahead and play that and check this out.
I mean, it can be a pretty stressful environment. Obviously, we're gonna have. We're not having fights on the truck or anything like that. But there's gonna be times where the tension is high.
I'm sure you guys get busy
we've got
too.
Yeah, we've got to rush. We've got a million people in front of the trailer. We know that not to take anything personal. If one of us accidentally says something that's, maybe in the wrong tone or something like that. But I feel like we make a great team together. We work well together. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now. And, there was a little bit of an adjustment period. I never worked with her. We went so many years spending, working opposite shifts. We were basically single parents for the most part for the longest time, except for on the weekends. So.
Well, and having a spouse that's so supportive of your dream.
Yeah.
Like I have to, like my wife, Blaise, I mean, she has supported me through anything. I mean, I lean on her,
Yeah.
And I'm sure, there's been times that I've showed up to your food truck. I know in certain days are a little more busier for you. So, I mean, I've been at your food truck where your line's backed up. I mean, I'm sure that gets stressful,
Yeah.
And I'm sure at the end of the day, it's kind of nice, you and Amber kind of working together. You're able to kind of, I guess, like, sit down, kind of just how you want to say it, like kind of just let out all the anger or whatever from that day, because it does get stressful and you have to deal with certain things. So it is kind of nice she understands you and you understand her because you guys are doing the same thing. So.
Absolutely. That's kind of a rule we have, is that we don't take home what happens on the trailer, because, some of those days are long, some of them are stressful. Sometimes you get, customers they're stressed as well, and that can set the tone for the whole day. Luckily we have that wall between us that kind of divides us, so we get our own little space,
Yeah.
But no, we get along pretty well on the trailer. I couldn't ask for a better face of our company. She's the first person you see when you walk up.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that her name is attached to, whether it's the business, the cannolis, she takes pride in everything she does. She's great with the customers. She remembers so many people's names. I don't know how. I try to remember most of them, but I'm not as good as her. So she's remembering your name, a lot of times your orders. She has like these. We have a lot of these mini relationships with customers that.
Well, and that's amazing, because honestly, the reason why I remember actually to tell you this, the first time I ate your pizza, and first time I met you, I believe you were set up at Walmart over here in Deloge Walmart.
Yep.
And the reason why I think you were actually one of the first food trucks I've ever tried. I'll be honest with you, because I mean they've kind of blown up in the area as far as they've really taken off. But the reason why I kept going back to yours is because number one, you knew my name. I told you my name, and I think the second time I went back, like hey John, what's going on? Like, and that's big. I feel like, and I know I don't want to get away from your business, but
No.
in the business world, and that's kind of where starting out, I want to talk about the ins and outs of business. I feel like in the business world, especially when you're dealing with the public, especially in my job, my main job, I feel like it's always important to create those friendships, those relationships.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're in sales, I mean, you're making pizzas, but you're technically in sales. I mean, you're selling the pizza.
We're selling the product and we're selling ourselves.
Exactly.
We're in a world right now where customer service is lacking in most places.
Oh yeah.
And it's very hard to find exceptional customer service. You'll get, and it's up to the individual, not the business, right? So if if you're hiring servers that don't respect your establishment or your customers and they're not giving great service, well, that's a reflection of your business, but it's not necessarily a direct reflection of who you are as a business owner. Luckily with Amber and I being the only, employees on our trailer, and we have the same mindset when it comes to customer service is, it works really well. So, we give exceptional customer service 100% of the time. I feel like, and like I was saying, with it lacking so much, that makes us stand out.
Yeah.
And people love to hear their own name.
Oh, yeah.
They love that you remember their name. It makes them feel like there's somebody in your life, or in your life rather. And we love all these little, what I call mini relationships that we built with our customers. We have so many regulars, and we focused everything, on repeat business. There's a lot of trucks out there that do events, and which is great. You can make great money at those events. You can, build a good life for yourself. But a lot of people that you see at events are out of towners. You'll never see them again.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's fine. That's definitely a very respectable business model. But I like a sense of community. So like I like having people that I remember, people that know me, people that are excited to come and get my food. That's kind of, not that we've ever really put out a mission statement, but what drives us and what we do is, like, if I hand you your pizza and I see that you're excited to get it, or you give me feedback that says, hey man, that was a great pizza, or anything like that, that's what drives me. So like I love making great food because the reaction I get from the people I give it to. Giving something that I've created with my mind, made with my hands, to another person, and it wouldn't have to be food, but anything like that. That's the driving force behind what we do. That keeps us being creative. It keeps us on our toes as far as a business.
Yeah.
So that's what's first and foremost for us. Obviously, you have to make money at it, but money is not the sole driver for what we do. We have to pay our bills, but at the same time, like, if you're giving great customer service, you're buying the best quality ingredients you can, and putting out the best product you can, money will come with it.
Well, and that's the thing is, you said something. I'm kind of hit on something you said. You said you're not only selling the product or the pizza, you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
I believe that 100% because in my business I do, is it's pretty much always trying to sell yourself in a way, because people want to come to you and spend money with your business because they like you. People, I have found in my time being in sales and business, is people want to do business with people they like and people they trust. Yeah. And for instance, a quick story I'll tell you yesterday where, and I don't do these things to try and gain business. It's just because that's my personality. Like,
sure.
I love meeting people. I like helping people. I like talking to people. Obviously, that's why I want to do this podcast. But a quick story for you. I had to go visit a gentleman just yesterday. He's in his 80s, and I just went down. I sat on his back porch with him, and I get talking to him, and something's brought up. He talks about, he wants to talk about his past and what he used to do, and he talked about he used to do what I do now. And I mentioned, like, yeah, I said, I remember that. You showed me that coin you hold in your pocket all the time.
So was he an insurance guy?
He was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he kind of went into all that and everything, and he showed me a coin that he got from years ago, and it's all worn down because he has it in his pocket. And he looks at me, he's like, you remember that coin? I'm like, yeah, I mean, you showed it to me like last year or so. And I feel like he was kind of surprised that I remembered that coin.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, like, and and it's not that I do it on purpose, like, oh yeah, but it's just like I just try and remember things. Somebody comes in my office, or I see somebody out and about, I always try and like, hey, how's this going, or how's so and so, you know. I feel like that's important, and it kind of builds like a community. Really.
I feel like you know, you're networking for one.
100%.
You know, you're building relationships. You're
Brand
making friends.
recognition.
I've made friends out of so many customers, you included. You know, and the other podcast we do, all those guys, customers first, friends. You know, they're friends first now, but customers first, and then become friends. And you know, not only is it awesome to have these friendships, it also opens up opportunity. You know, when, you know, somebody mentions pizza, those friends are automatically saying my name, you know, saying our business name and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it's super important to build these relationships with people, just for you know, not only for your business, but just to be more present in the community.
100%.
You know, we have customers that, like, they'll come by just to hang out. They'll come by just to say hi. They'll, you know, and they're not even buying pizza. Maybe they bought pizza yesterday. Maybe they bought it on Friday, or they're going to buy it on Friday, you know, and it's a Wednesday. And they'll just come by to say hi. We had a customer yesterday. His name is, I think it's Dr. Morris. He works over at Parkland. And I don't know that he wants me to tell this necessarily, but he came by. You know, my wife works the front of the window, and she's always got a smile on her face. Regardless of how she feels. You know, she could be having a rough day, and you're not going to get that version of her. You know, you're going to get that happy to see you, you know, rough day, or not rough day, but happy to see you person. And so Dr. Morris comes by, and he has a manila envelope, and it's got this little ceramic tile, and it's got a like a sunshine on it, like with a smiley face on it, but it's got like the rays coming off of it. Really nice piece of art, and he gives it to my wife, and she opens it up, and there's a note in there, and it says something to the effect of, you know, I understand what you do with your job as far as, you know, putting on that smiling face, and I'm very loosely paraphrasing here. I don't remember exactly what it said, but just understanding that, you know, it's not always easy to be that person, especially in a world where you do under some people that are not so nice to you, you know. And she actually broke down in tears after he left when she read that, because it meant a lot to her that, like, somebody else gets it, what she goes through, you know. And she loves her job, she loves what she does, but just that little act of kindness of saying, hey, I understand, like, I know that you're a happy person, you know, you're a smiling person 99% of the time, but I also do understand that there are times where you don't feel like you want to do that, but you do it anyway for the, you know, basically the greater good, you know, of the business and you know, all that. And so that touched your heart.
Yeah.
And it touched my heart too, because it's like, he didn't have to do that.
No.
You know, he's just being genuine and kind.
But and that's the thing is, you know, you own your own business. You've started your own business.
Yes.
You know, as far as my part, I don't own my business, but I represent my business. You know, I work for you know, Mike Sandscroll, so I represent his business. So, and you don't have to technically own your business, but like I said, I represent a business. And that's the thing is, you don't have to technically like own your business to act like it is your business. You know,
absolutely.
Like my previous job I had before here. Obviously, I didn't own the business, but I treated it like it was my business. You know, whenever I dealt with customers, you know, I always tried, you know, joking with them, making them smile, because you don't realize that what that does for those people. No. Number one, I always try and live by this. You don't know what that person's going through. Number one, that smile you put on their face, they may, you know, and this may be dramatic or whatever. I don't know how you want to say it, but I think it's true. You just don't know what they're going through. And that joke you said, or that smile you have, like Amber smiling at everybody. I mean, they may come there and they may leave like feeling a whole lot better about themselves just because of that interaction with you guys.
For sure.
You know? For
sure. I think, you know, finding employees that will represent your business the way you would is tough to do. You're one of those employees, you know, and I don't know if that's because, you know, your success is dictated on, you know, how well you do. You know, some people are paid hourly. They just go in and they do their job and they go home, and you know, how hard they work doesn't, you know, they're still going to get paid either way, right? But I imagine there's, commissions involved in how you get paid, because it is, a sales position. And so, and my last position when I was in advertising, it was a commission-based job as well too. So I had to run that business like it was my own. I had to keep my customers happy. I was the sole person responsible for that. I'm sure you are as well. And so, you in those positions, if you have somebody that's good, well, then you know that you're being represented well.
Yeah.
But in an hourly position, I think it's hard to find guys like yourself that want to put every bit of effort that you would into somebody else's business.
Well, and you always, and this is the way I've always tried to be. Maybe not as I've been younger. I should say. My early 20s or late teens. Obviously at that point you have like your starter job. You may not. I don't want to say you don't care as much, but it's not like you're. You know what I mean? You kind of, as you get older, you progress and you get, more long-term jobs. I should say that should be a little more long-term. But I always try and go above and beyond. If I can. Like my last job, I would always try and explain to the customers, here's what I did, this, and this, or I went ahead and took care of this, or just it's just providing the extra service. For people.
I was raised by a mom who was a restaurant manager and a dad was a mechanic, and they instilled pretty strong work ethic in me. I saw them work years and years and years for not a whole lot of money, but they still worked hard at it. And but even though that was instilled in me, and I was always kind of a hard worker, that job I got when I was like 20, 21, something like that, and I worked it for about 15 years. But it was probably 3 or 4 years in where I realized that every bit of my success is dictated on how well I do as an employee, and it really pushed me to drive to be the best that I could be. I was probably the top 1 and 2 guys in what we do in St. Louis for 14 of the 15 years that I worked there. As far as numbers go and success rates on sales and client retention and stuff like that. And so, that job may not have taught me that, but it drilled it in.
Yeah.
How important that was.
So now you talked you were in sales in automotive, car sales, like not car sales, but you dealt with car dealerships and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm sure you've been able to use that knowledge with your current business, right? Has it helped you felt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it was like digital marketing and advertising, right? And so everything we do now on with the food truck is on Facebook. And so I kind of had a plan set out when I decided that I wanted to start this. I kind of had a 6 month to a year loose strategy, and so that was I would start my business page 6 months before we opened. I would build hype, take photos of stuff I was making at home at the time and different things, and build hype all the way up to that 6 months. So when the day we opened our doors, we had about 1,200 followers on Facebook already, and we hadn't sold a single thing. And so I felt like I did a pretty good job about that. I would post, sometimes it's just memes about pizza that get people engaged. Sometimes it's questions that get people engaged, especially if you can be relatable, but also nostalgic as well. Those tend to be good for engagement. Sometimes it was just a photo of a pizza, something I was making, I invited all my friends off my friends list. I added I didn't have a personal Facebook before this, but I worked with Facebook with my clients at my old job. So I knew my way around it to navigate it and make the most out of the digital marketing on that side. But go ahead.
No, let me ask you this. This is something that I feel like I don't want to use the word struggled in, but this is one of the places where in my current position where I'm at is advertising.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as a whole, I feel like we've kind of progressed from, I don't want to say from billboards. Obviously, years ago they used to put stuff in newspapers and stuff. I'm not saying that people don't pay attention to that, but people still do. But it's more of I feel like it's more like some of the older generation. But like my generation, I'm 27 and you're just a little older than me, but like our generation, what do you feel like is, and I know what you're probably going to say, it's probably going to be digital on your phone, but
Sure.
do you have any other like thoughts as far as what's the best marketing, especially for your business, like my style of, what I'm working with?
So, to be a little more general about it than just maybe mine or your business is you've got to go where the attention's at, right? And I don't know what the statistic is now, but when I was working for the other company, probably 10 years ago, I heard a statistic that people checked Facebook. It was 37 or 38 times a day. I probably check it more than that because I run a business off of it. But the average person checks it 37, 38 times a day. So if you've got one of these, you've probably got Facebook. It's probably in your pocket all day. So you want to be in that person's pocket too,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, whatever apps are being used the most, that's where you want to be, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat even.
Yeah.
You can advertise on Snapchat. You can put yourself on the map.
That's what you were telling me about.
I was doing that for a while. I was having some trouble with it actually showing up on the map after a while, so I stopped doing that currently, but I may go back and try it again and see if they've worked the bugs out on that. But you also, there's also something too, like you don't want to post too much.
Yeah.
Facebook's got that new @followers tag, right? Where you can tag all of your followers. And I haven't used that yet, and I don't know that I'm going to because, that could be borderline annoying for a lot of people where they just unfollow you, and now you've got less people looking at your stuff, and so, you want to share it on pages where everybody's attention's at. You want to, post at least once a day. Just to stay relevant, I would say, but I think quality of posts means more than quantities.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
So talking in advertising in a general sense, you would want to go that route. Now, if we talk in a more like personalized to your business, well, that could mean text marketing, that could mean email marketing. For insurance. I don't really know what that looks like just because that's not my level of expertise. For food, people are always hungry. If you've got you want to take great photos for one because you want to stand out. But I think like we'll make our post in the evening, the night before we go somewhere, right? And then we'll share that post to the different what's going on pages and forums and stuff, local forums around here. And then that next morning, when we're set up at a place, around 9 o'clock, when people are settled into their jobs, they're sitting at work, I'll go through and I'll go outside of my trailer, I'll take a picture, I'll include a couple pictures of the food and stuff like that, and hey guys, we're set up here, come see us for lunch. And so, sorry, that's about the time they're thinking about lunch, like what are we going to have for lunch today? That's always a big thing in most employees' minds during the day, and so. If you're right there posting when they're thinking about it, well, then you're probably going to see better results of it,
And see, and this is another thing, I'm kind of hitting on some stuff we've already talked about. When I started in my style of business, about a little over a year ago, and I went to my manager and I've said, hey, here's this idea to market. And he said, hey, you can try them. Those are, great. I think they're great and everything. Go for it. But I'm going to tell you, here's what's worked for me. And I've found what he's actually said, I have found I've had the most success with, I feel like. And you know what that is?
What's that?
Basically word of mouth. Basically, if you take care of people, for you, like if you provide a good pizza for somebody, guarantee that person's going to tell their friend.
I think word of mouth is most important.
100%.
Honestly, it's more important than your digital marketing. I mean, you want to be where people can find you, right?
Yeah.
So and you want to stay relevant in that kind of realm as far as making sure you're posting regularly. People like regularity. They like comfort in knowing hey, on Fridays they're here most times, or whatever. So. I think those kinds of things are important, but word of mouth, I trust the opinion of a good friend more than I trust an ad on Facebook.
Yeah.
And which of your friends go to good places and eat good food all the time, right? And so you're probably going to trust their opinion more than you are, somebody that maybe wants to eat at, maybe a lower quality establishment all the time, They're fine with just eating, subpar food. So, I'm just speaking in food because that's what I know and that's what I'm in, currently. But yeah, I think word of mouth is your biggest thing. And then also sharing your posts, to me, that's the biggest compliment. We would not be successful without people sharing our stuff. And that's digital word of mouth, basically. I know whose opinions I can trust on my friends list. I know whose I cannot trust. And so if I see a friend that I know knows good food and they're like, hey, this is amazing, I'm probably going to go try it, and I'm going to go support that business. And if I love it, I'll continue to support that business and I'll share their stuff. And, I feel like if you're out there trying your best and you're putting out quality, a lot of things kind of fall in line without trying.
Yeah.
But you definitely do have to put in the effort on making sure people know who you are and where you're at.
And it does take time. And, I've been doing what I'm doing now I started last July, so I'm over a year now. And I'm just now starting to see, throughout the time of building the relationships and talking to people. And as time has went, obviously I feel like I've done okay, but I'm just now starting to see, okay,
You're starting to see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that. And that's kind of where I kind of want to kind of wind down a little bit, because I'm sure, obviously, this is not going to be the only podcast you and I do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this is part one.
For sure.
But for time's sake, I don't want to make this too long. But I want to ask you, let's just go ahead and just finish off with this. And I'm going to ask this question. It's a general question, but I feel like I could ask 10 people in 10 different positions and situations. And I guarantee every one of them is going to say something different because their situation's different.
Yeah.
But how do you define success? And do you feel like you're successful?
I do feel like I'm successful, but the definition of success for me is kind of ever evolving, right? So I'm, when I'm doing something, I'm big on making little successes more important than the grander goal. I feel like the journey is where it's at, not the destination. Eventually we would like to open a place and sell New York style pizza by the slice. Like that's kind of our loose end goal. But for me, like, I'm a very driven person, so like I'm sure it's not going to stop there. Does that mean I franchise out? Probably not. But because I'm a real stickler for quality control.
Yeah.
But does that mean that maybe I try to run 2 restaurants of my own in the end? Maybe. But I'm not really focused on that right now. I'm not even focused on getting a restaurant open right now, even though that's my grander goal. I feel like if you're only going to be happy if you reach that goal, that's going to make your journey to the destination miserable. So I feel like you have to find the small wins, and have everyday successes.
And you said something right there. There's a podcast I've listened to for a few years, and this guy says that a lot of people think success is like this big, massive, and sometimes it is. Like sometimes you get a phone call, you've been looking for this job, and you get the job of your dreams. Like sometimes success is a big, fireworks kind of deal. Like, oh, I've spent all these years doing this. But he said most time success is little wins along the way. You don't realize you're successful until, it's.
I'll give you a few examples of that, though. So, like, say we go out today, for example, and say we're set up here at Deloge AutoZone, right? And we get a brand new customer, and his name's Kevin. I might not know his name's Kevin, but my wife will remember that a guy named Kevin, who was a new customer, came today. Then I get home at night, and then I look at my fired Facebook page, and I see that a Kevin has followed us. Well, that tells me, if it's the same guy I remember, if I can see this picture and it's the same guy I remember, that tells me that we were successful in impressing Kevin.
Yeah.
That means Kevin likes our food, right? That's one single customer. That's probably going to generate maybe $15 to $30, of sales every month or two, right? Could be every week. That's a success as well. But let's just be let's just say it's $15 to $30 every couple months, right? That's a win to me. That's a big win to me. I impress somebody with my food. Somebody so like I get excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, Kevin loved our stuff, and I don't know Kevin from anybody, but things like that are maybe a customer taking away a garlic bread and they come back and buy another one. That's a win. That's a success, or coming back, they came for lunch, but say it's a day we're out long, and then they come back for dinner. We had just this week, Wednesday, we had this kid come up, his name's Dakota, and never seen him before. Nice kid. He was young, probably 21, 22, could have been younger even. He came to us on Wednesday. We were in Leadington, and he bought a couple pizzas. I think we gave a cannoli to his wife. She was pregnant, and pregnant women usually like sweets. They don't turn those down. So so we went ahead and just gave her one for free, and the very next day we were in Fredericktown. Guess who shows up in Fredericktown? Dakota.
Yeah.
So he drove 30 minutes away just to get our pizza before he went out golfing, because him and his wife liked it so much. That was my biggest win of the week.
Yeah.
I had somebody come back and drive 30 minutes to get it, but come back 2 days in a row because they liked it so much. Like, it doesn't get better than that, So I think that right there is more important than the end goal. I think finding those little small wins, and it can be even more minuscule than that. It would be somebody new shared our post.
Yeah.
Somebody said something nice about us, whatever. I think you focus on those, and then you repeat those, and that's what equals the big win.
Yeah, because you kind of look at it. If you're looking at success, let's use this analogy. I would think. For instance, let's talk about like building a house. I don't know how this just came to mind. You don't build a house in one day.
No.
Okay. Building a house takes time. Okay. And I've never built a house. I kind of have an idea of how it goes. But what do you start with first?
Foundation.
Foundation. Okay, exactly. So like you said, 6 months there. You built your foundation, and you built off that.
Sure.
And obviously that house doesn't get built, like what's it saying? Rome didn't get built over, what was it? You know what it's saying?
Oh gosh, I know what you're talking about.
Rome wasn't built overnight or
something like conquered overnight or something.
You know what I'm saying. So I'll have to look it up and put it in the video or something. But no, it's just like that house wasn't built overnight. The house wasn't built in a week unless you have like big crew there. But that's the thing is, you start out, you build your foundation. Then you start building your subfloor, and then you start building your walls. So that's the thing is, those little wins you've had, you're slowly building that house of success, or however you want to say it.
Well, and I think they, there's a saying about laying it one brick at a time, but every brick being perfectly laid.
Yeah.
To have a house that won't crumble.
Yeah.
So, when you really focus on those small things and you focus on those details, it all adds up to a much greater outcome than if you tried to rush through it. And for me, I have no patience. So I tend to rush through things, and so it's definitely been something that I've had to try to learn over the last couple of years, because everybody wants instant gratification. I'm not exempt to that, but just basically building this business brick by brick and making sure every brick's laid perfectly, and making sure I'm giving people a reason to come back, and Dakota liked my food, but did he like it even more because we gave him great customer service? Maybe so.
Probably.
Because we chopped it up with him and talked for a little bit, and explained what we're serving, what we have, what goes into it. It's. I think when you put all of those together, you get a greater outcome.
Well, and I'm going to kind of draw us to end here with this. What happened to me just the other day. So earlier this week, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I've talked to him about this idea of this podcast. So this podcast I've had, I talked to you last year about this. Yeah. And anyways, so I talked to him about it too. There's not many people I talk to about this podcast, but he was one of them because, anyways, I kind of tell him like, I'm kicking it off Saturday morning and everything, and I'm meeting with Chris from Fire. I said, have you ever heard of him? He said, yeah, I've tried him once. I've been to his truck, and he said, I've kind of talked to Chris. And I told him, I said, here's my end goal with this podcast is the people I interview, and it's not just going to be business people. I want to interview people that are influential in the area, or just people who have a story to tell. But like, for instance, if you own a business, here's what I told him. I said, here's what my end goal is with this podcast is by the time you get done watching this episode or the second episode, when we do that, you're gonna feel like you're gonna know Chris better, or whoever I'm interviewing better or talking to better.
Sure.
So I said, I guarantee you, the next time you go to Fired Food Truck, you see Chris, you're gonna feel like you know him a whole lot more than you did, because as you know, at your food truck, you do get busy.
Yeah.
So you're not able to really get to talk to people other than more of like surface level stuff. Hey man, how you been doing?
That's an interesting point, though.
You know.
I didn't really think about that like this. You know, you have like, say and I don't want to equate myself to a celebrity by any means, but say, you know, you have your favorite celebrity. You follow them, right?
Yeah.
You hear their stories, you hear them talk, and you feel like you know them. And I guess, you know, what you're going to end up getting with this podcast is that you're going, like you said, you're going to feel like you know, in that same kind of way. You know, you're going to feel like you know those people. You know, and it can be radio personalities, it can be whoever. They don't have to necessarily be celebrities, but yeah, getting a little insight into their lives and how they think and how they do things, and you know what's important to them. Yeah, I never really thought about that. That's a good,
Yeah,
that's
like
neat.
brand recognition.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
When people think of pizza, Fired, Chris. You know what I mean? It all goes in line, and that's where in my line of business, you know, the business I'm in, like, I want people to think of when they think of insurance, I want them to think of John.
For
you
sure.
know, but that's not what my point of this podcast is. My point is to, you know, throughout my time, I've met people that have interesting stories. You know, like you for example, and that's why today I want to kind of sit down with you and kind of do part one, I should say.
Yeah.
So let's kind of go ahead and just kind of go from here. So what do you want to kind of leave people with today? Is there any kind of major points you want to, some wisdom or knowledge that we kind of discuss, kind of some bullet points?
Oh, I don't know. It kind of put me on the spot a little bit. I mean, you know, when it comes to business, you know, I think you're only as good as your product and your customer service, and I think both of those things are equally important.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you're good to people, they'll be good to you. So like, you know, it's kind of, I'm not like necessarily a big believer in karma, but I'm a big believer in putting out as much good as I can.
You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow, exactly. So I'm a big believer in probability, right? So like, if I'm doing 10 great things, probably 7 or 8, you know, the chances of those working out are pretty good, you know. Now, if I'm only doing one good thing and the rest of the stuff I'm doing isn't very good, then, you know, my chances are low, you know. But yeah, I think, you know, you do as good as you can. You put out the best product that you can. You take pride in what you do, and you love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, then you find what it is that you love, you know, and so that you can be the best version of yourself, and basically, you know, inadvertently make your life better. You're going to be more happier. You're going to be more fulfilled. That's the biggest thing with this business is like, I loved my old job. It was an enjoyable job for the most part. I did not like how, you know, there were things I didn't like about it as far as, you know, willingness to compensate, you know, so that's why I created my own job for myself. But, you know, I think everybody should be doing what they love to do. You know, I think if you can't take pride in it, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess I'll just leave you with that, you know, if you find what you like, try to make a living out of it.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
I think you'll thrive, you know. And if you haven't done that, you don't know the feeling. And I didn't know the feeling before this. And, you know, our lives feel like they have more purpose. We feel more fulfilled. We love these connections that we're making with our customers and turning a lot of them into friends. And, you know, it's just been a really eye-opening experience to the fact that there's more to life than just working for somebody else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can work for somebody else and absolutely love what you do.
100%.
But I think it's all about just doing what you love. You know, finding out what that is, trying as many things as possible until you do, and then, you know, just doubling down on that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Chris, I appreciate you taking your time and
problem.
meeting with me. So one thing I want to kind of end with is check him out on Facebook at Fire. Is it just Fired?
It's Fired SFC.
Okay, Fired SFC. So check him out. You also like basically the day before you also will shoot out like, hey, we'll be at such and such.
Yeah. So we'll put our schedule out usually on Monday, and then like say if we're going out on a Wednesday, Tuesday evening around 5 or so, 4:35, I'll make a post saying, hey, we're gonna be at so and so, and from these hours, and here's our menu, and and then the next morning I'll post that we're there, and just to remind everybody we're there, and we're easy to find at Fired SFC on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. So I got two things for you guys I want you guys to do. Is number one, go check out his Facebook page. Number two is next time you see Chris or Amber, if you did watch this, I want you to tell them, hey, I watched that podcast, and just kind of let us know that you watched it. But other than that, this is probably part one.
Yeah.
So in part two, if you guys have any questions you want me to ask Chris or anything like that, you can let me know. I'll put the email down here, down at the bottom, or you can also message me on Facebook here. But other than that, Chris, I appreciate you sitting down with me.
Well, thanks for having me.
But see you guys next time. Thank you.